He's a Hall of Famer. Dick Vitale teaming up with Pizza Hut as they launch their new Flavor of Now menu, available nationwide November 19th. And Dickie V joins us on the program. How are you, Dick?
Hey, Dan, great being out with you, man. The one and only Dan Patrick. I knew you when you were just starting out as a diaper dandy, and now you're a PTPer, a primetime performer.
Do you know the first time I ever met you at the mothership was when Siena upset Stanford? Todd Lichty, does that sound right? 1989?
Oh, yes. Todd Lichty, unbelievable. That's a name of the past. That's the first time we met. That's a lot of years from now.
Yeah, I walked in the studio, and Siena just upset Stanford, and I remember you and Howie Schwab there, and you're saying, Howie, I can't believe this. I can't believe Siena over Stanford. And I went, wow, welcome to ESPN. There, you were on fire right then. when they were doing the tournament. Yeah, when they were ESPN was doing the tournament back then.
Well, it was a lot of fun during those days, coming into the studio. I remember standing on my head there one time, having a blast. Boston P beat Illinois. But I'll tell you, Dan, I really been very blessed in my life, as you have. And, I'm 75 years old now, man. I can't believe that I'm still doing games. If you would have told me this, it's my 36th year. I want to be the first guy in broadcasting. I want to be the first guy. I know I sent a welcome on Twitter yesterday to Al Michaels saying, wow, welcome to the 70s club. But the key is going to be who can get in Vince Scully's the 80s club. And I want to be the first guy in the history of broadcasting to walk out and do a game at 100. That is my goal and my dream. And if you don't have dreams, what do you have? So everybody out there, young people, chase your dreams.
Okay, what would be the teams? What two teams do you want there for your final game when you're 100?
Oh, you got my final game?
Yeah.
I don't think it's my final game. I think I'm going to go beyond 100.
Okay, but there has to be a
game,
final game for you.
Okay, here it is.
All right.
Here it is. It is Kentucky and Duke. Kentucky and Duke. Krzyzewski and Calipari. They're still coaching at those days, putting out all kinds of W's, and we're having a blast.
Well, Krzyzewski might still be there, but Calipari won't still be at Kentucky.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You look at this team right now, Dan, it's scary. I mean, you don't have to go to Harvard to figure this out. I'm a dummy, man. I mean, I can't spell Harvard. I'm that dumb. But hey, they got 9 McDonald's All-Americans. Most coaches would drool to get one. That means mathematically, and I'm a dummy, but they got 4 guys on the second team that were McDonald's All-Americans. So what the beauty of college basketball, Dan, and we saw it last year with Connecticut, there is no one that could have told me prior to the tournament that they would pick Connecticut to win a national title, other than maybe Kevin Ollie. But the situation was they were a 7 seed. They got blown out by 30 by Louisville, and they go on and win the national title. And that's the beauty. One bad night, the party's over. If it was 4 out of 7 out of the NBA, you deliver the trophy right now to Lexington.
Best team you ever saw, talent-wise?
Well, the best team talent-wise would have to be, prior to my arrival at ESPN, would be the UCLA club with Mr. Alcindor. I mean, even the team that lost that one game, they lost that game. He had the eye injury, and they came back in a championship. They beat Houston by like 30-some plus points, and that team was special. But, Indiana's team, if you ask me from a coaching standpoint, the Indiana team that were undefeated had all the parts. Great point guard in Buckner, post player in Benson. Scott May was unbelievable on the wing. Wilkerson was a defender. I mean, Abernathy. They had all the parts. And then they had the shy, introverted coach on the sideline, Robert Montgomery Knight. Now, that was a special, special team. If I were to define team as T for togetherness, E for effort, A for attitude, and M for mental toughness. See, what I'm doing here, Dan, I'm rehearsing. I'm giving a speech over at the Ritz-Carlton here in Miami Beach now. I'm getting ready to give a speech to a corporate event, so I'm going to tell them I rehearsed on the Dan Patrick Show.
Can you get Bob Knight back to Indiana?
Wow.
Let him go back and be honored. You know what? I know that he's angry, but...
Dan, I have tried so much. I called him about a month ago, there was an article by one of his former players, A.J. Guyton, how much it meant to him in the Hall of Fame in Indiana and what he learned from Bob. And that was an incredible. I don't know if you ever saw the article. He wrote a letter. It was unbelievable how he wanted coaches. I called him. I said, you got to go there, man. And, he changes the subject. Bob is just, he's Bob. He's Bob, and he's been great to me. He's been very good to me, in fact, in many, many ways. So I'll be honest with you. A lot of people don't know this, but Bob Knight played a big role in me getting in the Hall of Fame. I had been rejected 3 times. I was getting more rejections than the dean of Harvard gives out. I was getting rejected. Finally, he called me. He says, you belong in the Hall of Fame. What you've done, he said, I'm going to write a letter to all the living Hall of Famers and ask them to support you. Well, he called me up one day, and he says, Dick, you may not get in the Hall of Fame, but I have letters for you that are going to come to you from every guy that's a living Hall of Famer, John Wooden, and right down the list. I mean, John Thompson, and you name them. And he sent me the letters. He said, that's your Hall of Fame. I got a letter of John Wooden, who these people all wrote the letters to the Hall of Fame on my behalf. So I'm indebted forever. That's why Bob presented me. And I'm coming out with a new book, and I share all these things. The book's coming out in 3 weeks. If people want to pre-order an autographed copy, they go to my website, dickvitaleonline.com, and they can get one. And I in that book, I share. I think I had told you the story when you were honored at the Sportscasters, and I shared the story about my eye, and I talk in there about bullying. I talk about how I was bullied as a kid, and I didn't even realize it when my eye used to drift on me, and it broke my heart. I'll be honest with you, Dan. When I read about all this bullying came to my light, when I'm reading about all these people, and I thought about when I was pitching Little League, fans, parents, adults yelling to the coach, hey, get him out of here. Look at his eye. His eye's all over there. He don't even know where he's throwing the ball. I'd go to my room, and I would cry like a baby. I would cry when I'd sit in my room, stare at my eye, because I had no control. And when I got in TV, it hit home with me is when one day I come out of the studio, and the receptionist says to me, this guy keeps calling up, saying he can't stand looking at your eyes. I'm so mad at him. And when I went home, it was like brought back all those memories as a kid. I called our guy, Steve Anderson, and you heard me. I used it in my speech down there, and And I'm going to tell you, Dan, people don't know how much it can hurt people. It hurt me so much as a kid because I had no control of my eye.
Did you have a lazy eye? Was it a lazy eye, Dick, or what was it?
Well, I poked my eye as a pencil as a kid. I was blind in my left eye, and I had no control on the eye in the movement. And then the eye doctor who was treating my daughters, just giving them a checkup, said to my wife, are you related to Dick Vitale? And she said, yes, my husband. He said, I can operate on that eye. And I went to see him, and then he said to me, which scared me, and I called Anderson again. I said, Steve, I don't know what to do. He said, look, we didn't hire you about your eye. We hired you. You're candid. You're enthusiastic. You love the game. But it just bothered me that people would look at me, and I was so conscious of it, I would never look you in the eye. I would always look left or right because I didn't know where my eye was going. And he told me what scared me. He said, look, Dick, I have to be honest with you. We got to operate on your good eye to straighten your bad eye out. He said, there's always a chance of losing vision. But unfortunately, it worked out great. Hey, anyway, talking basketball, hey, I'm bigger than you, Dan Patrick.
I know that.
Maryland. I was in Boring, Maryland yesterday, and I was big in Boring, Maryland. I was giving them all the latest Pizza Hut recipes. I was playing bingo with all the people at the firehouse, and I had a blast, man. Boring, Maryland. I bet you've never been to Boring, Maryland.
No, I have not. I've been boring, but I've never been to Boring, Maryland. I have not.
You're not boring at all, man.
No, hey, I got to ask you this, though. I got to ask you this before I let you go. I need to make the regular season mean something in college basketball because it doesn't. There's no reason to watch college basketball. I mean, you can enjoy it, but these games don't mean anything. Everybody makes the tournament. There's no drama whatsoever, and I worry about college basketball.
You and I are going to debate that right now. We don't have enough time to debate that. You can't say everybody makes the tournament. Why are we screaming on selection show when there's teams that don't make
it? If you don't make it,
you
should be fired if you don't make it. There's 68 selection spots here, Dick. Remember when it was 32? That's when it mattered, when the regular season mattered. We had great showdowns in college basketball. Now You could have Duke and Kentucky in November, and you go, oh, yeah, that's right. They played back in November. It used to be when Virginia played Georgetown or St. John's played Villanova. Those games meant something. They don't mean anything now. Plus, these kids are staying 1 year. We don't even get to know them. It's diluting college basketball. I hate to see it.
Well, I agree with you about the one and done. I firmly believe that if a kid is good enough, let's say like a Wiggins last year and Parker or Okafor this year, and they want to go on to the NBA, we should let them go.
Yes.
It's 6, 7 kids. Let them go.
Yeah.
But I really firmly believe that once you step in, you should be able to stay there 3 years like they do in baseball, have some stability. That I agree with you in. But I disagree, and I will battle you big time, that the games don't mean anything. What about seeding? What about the other 200 teams that don't get in the tournament?
It doesn't matter if you're a number one seed. Number one seeds don't win titles.
Changing the subject. Wait, changing the subject.
All
I got to
right.
ask you this.
Okay.
I got to ask you this. I got to ask you something because you're a baseball lover too.
Right.
I have a problem. I know you're going to have Kershaw on your show. I have a problem with the MVP being a pitcher. I think the MVP belongs to an everyday player. I really have a problem. They have a Cy Young. He deserves the Cy Young. He's been a great pitcher.
There's
but
certain
I don't
cases,
buy
Dick.
MVP.
Dick. There's certain years where somebody is different. They're just that much better. You know, you can look at Madison Bumgarner in the playoffs. There was nobody better, and he didn't play every day, but he changed the entire World Series, the entire playoffs. He got him in the playoff game. So I look, you know, Kershaw, he affects your team one day and the next day because if he goes 9 innings, your bullpen rest. What he does for the rest of the staff, when you know he's there and you're going to face him, there's certain pitchers, certain instances where the pitcher is most dominating player in baseball. Now, if you want to say most valuable.
You and I are heading for debate city in that one as well. And I will tell you this. What about your feelings that they don't include the playoffs in the decision making?
Well, they have a separate award for it, but I would have no problem with Coach of the Year, Manager of the Year at the end of the year because that's really what you're managing and coaching for is to win a World Series or win a championship. I have no problem with those things, but they do say it's for the regular season. What else?
I'll tell you something else, getting all these little tidbits in. Tell you something else.
Right.
Alabama's going to beat Mississippi State on Saturday. Take that to the bank.
Yeah, I agree.
Take it to the bank.
I agree.
Alabama's going to beat Nick Saban in a big game.
Like
done a great job at Mississippi State. Great job. Mullen's done a terrific. He's not going to beat them in Tuscaloosa.
Better big game coach, Saban or Krzyzewski?
You put me on the spot. I'm going to be a politician now. I'm running for political office.
I didn't know you were afraid.
Saban's the best in college football. Krzyzewski's the best in basketball.
I didn't know you were going to be.
Hey, I got to get a TO, baby. I got to get rid of this man.
Hey.
My man, Howie Schwab, love being with you on your show.
Yeah,
love working with you.
Good man. We got him on Sports Jeopardy. Yeah. Tell Lorraine I said hello, and, be safe, be happy, be healthy.
I'm proud of your career, my friend. I've watched you from the beginning, and it's really terrific to see. And just, 75 now, my friend. 75.
Good for you.
I just want to make tomorrow.
Good for you. Thank you, Dickie. That's Dick Vitale.